Okay, let's bring in our pal, Dr. Robert Lichter, director of the Center for Media and Public Affairs in Washington, D.C., and they did this study that says now Obama's getting more negative coverage. But, Doctor, come on now. I'm reading your study here, and what you're considering negative is just simple, in my opinion, my humble opinion, just questions. All right, so let me give the audience two, and you can respond.
Right.
And these are these things that you documented. This is from Katie Couric, a question to Barack Obama. You raised a lot of eyebrows on this trip, saying even knowing what you know now, you still would not have supported the surge. People may be scratching their heads and saying, why? That's not negative coverage. That's a legitimate question.
Well, it's a legitimate question, but it's suggesting that he has a position that people find incomprehensible.
Yeah, because the surge has worked. There's history to back up the incomprehensibleness.
But what's positive and negative doesn't matter, isn't the same as what seems reasonable or not.
So you have an unreasonable study, is what you're telling me.
No, you can have an unreasonable question.
That wasn't unreasonable. Now, you made a mistake here, and you know I love you. You know you're a great guest. You know I respect you. You made a mistake. You made it. This is an enormous mistake. And here's another one. This is from Jake Tapper. Yeah. Quote, far more Americans say John McCain would be a good commander-in-chief than Obama. Unquote. He's taken that from a poll.
Right.
He's just citing the poll. That's not a negative press reportage. That is reporting the poll.
But it is reporting the poll, but it's saying something negative about Obama. We're not just looking at when somebody says, I think Obama is a jerk. We're saying whenever a statement comes up that says something negative or suggests something negative about Obama, we code that as positive or negative, if it can be coded as positive or negative.
It's misleading, though, you know, because the media then runs with it and says, oh, look, see, we're really fair and balanced. We're really giving everybody a fair shake, and we're tougher on Obama than McCain. They're not.
However, Bill, this is the same technique that we have used for 20 years, in which we have found in the past that Democrats have fared much better than Republicans, and we've done studies of our studies.
But here is the skew on it. The attention paid to Obama over McCain is about 5-1. So right. You have a much deeper well to draw from in finding negative comments than on McCain, because McCain is being almost ignored by many in the media.
And that's really been true since the New Hampshire primary.
Correct.
The coverage of Obama has been much heavier. But before, throughout the primaries, Obama was getting heavy coverage and extremely favorable comments.
That's because they wanted the primaries to go his way, and they wanted to knock Hillary Clinton out.
So why are they being more negative on him now?
It isn't a matter of being more negative. It's a matter of the coverage is so skewed to him, whereas it wasn't in the Hillary-Obama stuff. It was close. Here, it's 5-1, so that, as I said, the well is much deeper. And the litmus test that you use, that if anybody asks a skeptical question, even if based on polling it's negative, seems to me to be very stringent. But be that as it may, what I'm worried about is that your study goes out in the media, and that the left-wing media, which actively is working to get Barack Obama elected, can say, see, we told you we were being fair. They're not. Your study can be used to distort the true picture, is what I'm saying.
Well, if I worried about that, I could never come out with any study, because people will always use a study that comes out, to make the point they want to make. All I can do is, when I'm asked, say, no, this is what I think my study means.
Can I make a suggestion?
Of course.
Okay. I would get this out. I wouldn't do this again. And what I would do, and what would be a tremendous service to the country, would be for your organization at George Mason University in Virginia to study what has been true and what has been false, and the reportage in that area, and to say, so-and-so said 14 things that were false and 8 things that were true about Obama and about McCain. See, therefore, then we can get a snapshot on which media organizations are telling the truth and which are not.
If only it were easy to definitively determine what's true and false.
Well, in that case, if you couldn't say it, then you say that we couldn't determine. We couldn't determine, because all studies have that. All studies have that problem. But you can determine some factual inaccuracies. You know you can.
Sure. So as soon as I can find somebody to fund that study.
How much you need?
It would be a lot of money.
See, if you would change, I would get behind that and raise some dough for you. But look.
It wouldn't be a good idea.
It's such a serious election here.
Yeah.
And I'm so worried about the perceptions going out to Americans who are ill-informed, who don't pay attention to talk radio, don't watch TV, don't read the newspapers, that a study like yours gives the bad guys in the media, and they are legion now, protection. They can hide behind it. You see what I'm talking about?
Well, I think the answer to that is you can take all my studies or none of my studies. If you use a study, then you admit that the study is valid. And so if you say Obama's getting bad press, we can quote this study. The same technique showed he was getting very good press before. Mm-hmm. And we're going to be doing this all the way up to the election.
All right. I just see these questions that you're using and putting in a negative category as not being negative. And I guess that's just a difference of opinion. I mean, you have to have standards by which you evaluate. I understand that.
Right.
But citing a poll number, I mean, the Tapper thing, it's not a negative, Doctor. It's just a fact. I'll give you the last word.
Okay, the last word is we found in the past that our positives and negatives predict changes in popularity of politicians. Mm-hmm. So it has empirical validity, whatever you think of.
Are you saying that you think because of this, McCain will rise in popularity soon?
If this keeps up, I would say yes.
Interesting. Well, we'd be able to calibrate that.
Okay.
But think about the fact versus fiction deal, because that's so badly needed and nobody does that. And you guys certainly could do it if you could get the money to do it. And we appreciate it, Doctor. Always good to talk to you.
Okay.
Thank you.